buddy.
We have a fourth.
All right, so we're live. Again, just a brief welcome. Thanks, guys, for joining me again for the first, well, technically the second get together for the design project, but the first session, right? So we had our kickoff last week. We have not live streamed that last week, but it is recorded. So I'll probably just cut that together or splice the both videos together because we did that on Zoom and put them on YouTube as well. But again, super excited. So we have a lot to cover today, and therefore I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Well, just to begin, I want to thank you for changing the time a bit and being flexible with that. So thank you. We need a little more time to discuss and get on the same page here. So thank you for that.
No problem.
So, Marouane, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, as she said, we appreciated that. We definitely needed to go over some things, but now that we have, pretty much set on what we're gonna do, can't wait to talk to you about it and see the feedback, and go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So do you guys want to just jump right in, or do you have an agenda for today?
Yeah. So basically, the agenda it's what we shared last week as well. Is just that we're going to go through the project plan today. So let me share that with you. Is there a way that on StreamYard we can all look at this? And
yeah, you can share your screen. You should have a share button, I believe, and then I'll bring it onto the screen.
Okay, let me see here. Oh, I see the share screen. Okay. Okay, awesome. Can you see my screen? You can probably both see yourself here.
Not yet.
I don't see.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, can you see this screen?
Yeah, I can see it. I'll just need to bring it in the foreground. And there we go.
There we go.
Okay, wonderful. So this is the document that we have for you to share, and we can, of course, we will share this for you so we can keep looking and reflecting on it throughout the time. Just to give a brief overview before we dive deeper into it, we're going to have some communication expectations we're going to talk about, then really identifying what our problems here are, our problem statements, and then going into how we're going to solve these problems, what deliverables we're going to be creating with you throughout this journey, and then when exactly we will be giving you those deliverables. And then again, we emailed you this briefly. There's one change to it, but basically some items we're needing from you, some assets, so we can start this design journey. So, Marouane, do you want to start us off with covering the team and the communication expectations?
Sorry, you cut off briefly. What was that?
Oh, I was just wondering if you wanted to start us off with talking about the team and the communication and the problem statements too.
Am I able to scroll, or that's all you?
Oh, true. Let me know. I can scroll when you're ready.
Okay. So I was actually wondering, just like I referred to it last week we talked, but because of Ramadan and we're staying up late. Well, I'm staying up late, for whatever religious reasons and stuff. Just for like there's only 10 days left, but I was just wondering if we can change Monday to a little later in the day. I know you're flexible, but I don't know if you're willing to change that Monday a little later on in the day, like 2 or 3. That would be helpful to me.
Let me check my schedule
Yeah.
for the next couple of weeks. So I have a standing one on at 3 p.m. and then now and then one at 2 p.m. So would 4 p.m. be Eastern be too late?
4 p.m. wouldn't work just because I'm participating in a food drive, and that's from around 4:30 to 6:30. Um, so I'd be busy around that time. How about 1? We could do 1 if that's okay. If that works.
1
1
should
p.m.
work. Yeah, 1 should work.
Perfect. Perfect. So Mondays 1 p.m. Thursdays at 3 p.m. And I believe Liz, you wanted to change for 1 day on what was it, May 22nd?
Oh, sorry, Liz, I muted you because we're getting some feedback from you when Marouane's talking.
Oh, there we go. I'm unmuted now. When I'm done talking, I'll mute myself again. But
Perfect.
basically, I was wondering on May 20th is a Thursday, if we can meet at 10:30 that day instead.
That works for me. Is that good enough? That's after Ramadan too as well.
It is after
Yeah,
Ramadan.
that is that's
Okay.
perfect.
Wonderful. We can put those exceptions in this timeline as well. So I'll switch this to 1 p.m. and May 20th at 10:30 a.m. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Stan, for being flexible with those days.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so moving forward, so within 24 hours before each meeting, we will be sharing the agenda with you that we're gonna talk about during our meeting, and any deliverables that we have made for you um, during the course of this project for your feedback, so you can look over it before we actually get to it during the meeting, and you can ask questions and you know also. About 24 hours after each meeting, we're going to do a recap. So we will be sending you an email about what we talked about, what we accomplished, and then what, any goals or whatever we set, any deliverables that we're going to come up with for our next meeting. We'll also include that in our recap. And then, yeah, so our contact availability is Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if we wanted to we can be flexible around those times. So if we ever needed to change, if something ever comes up, we definitely can play around, that time frame. And then, so yeah, just scroll down. And then obviously, you have a flexible schedule, which we appreciate. Um,
So
oh,
to your availability, by the way, since I am, as most entrepreneurs, I'm working at whatever hours things come up, right? So if I ever send you an email at 2 a.m., I by no means expect you to reply. So it's totally fine to ignore me until 10 a.m., right, or 10:30.
I'll be awake at that time, to be honest with you. During Ramadan. After that, I
But
can't promise anything.
yeah, no. So like I said, just don't
Right.
don't feel forced, right? Like this is probably what you're going to experience with working with entrepreneurs in the future. It's pretty normal. We are kind of crazy hours, right? So we had the same expectation or not, therefore, from our team with the previous company. You get that messages from me. There is no expectation of a response, right? If you want to, that's totally cool, but don't feel forced, to work outside those hours. I try to respect those.
Do you want any sort of boundaries around your hours, Sven?
No.
Any sort of constraints? You want to keep it open?
Yeah, you can reach out whenever. Again, right? If I'm busy, I won't respond, but I'll try to be as responsive as I can, so we can meet, have you guys be as productive as possible.
Awesome. Perfect. So yeah. So for scope, these are problem statements that we came up with. And these are what we're gonna base our project off of. All the solutions is gonna be based off these problem sets. So first we have who are the customers and what creates a successful experience. And the way we like to frame it in UX UI is turn it into a how might we statement. And it can't be too broad and it can't be too narrow. So this is what we came up with. We'd like to get your feedback on it. So how might we understand the experience of the present and potential future customers? And what does a successful experience look like for those customers? And then in terms of the messaging on the website, we came up with how might we improve communication of the product on the website. So how does the content and the design of the website affect communication? How you doing, buddy?
So for the first point, the only thing I would say maybe we add to make it explicit is to define that customer persona, right? Or multiple potentially. It's implicitly in there because, of course, in order to look at the experience of a customer, you need to understand who that customer is. But maybe let's just be explicit for that, right? So define the customer personas and then look at their experience. So that makes sense.
Yeah, in terms of personas, that is part of the process, and we will be, creating 1, 2, however many we feel like represent, your customers for what you're doing here, and we will be creating personas for them. So yeah, that is part of the plan. But yeah, it's great that you thought of that as well. That's really good. Those are very helpful.
Yeah.
And then what do you think of the second one for messaging?
Yeah, I think that goes in the right direction. So I think that's the core. What I would like to at least have kind of maybe in the background of this task or as a side effect, which is almost automatic, but like to not have that, communication and design limited to the website. Like the website is the big delivery or deliverable, I guess. But, since we are going through that exercise, let's try to define and design every asset and every element from the point of view that we can reuse them in multiple channels, right? And again, they might not really differ anyway, but just keep that in mind. I think that would be great to have a slight understanding, and depending on how much time we have, right? If the website kind of communication design is done or your proposal is done for it, maybe we can then have like 1 or 2 side tracks of, like based on what we did with the website now, this could be 1 or 2 posts on social media or what have you, right? So that kind of just I like to try to make every work package be reusable as much as possible. Again, of course, simple example, if we decide on this orange, which, kind of is already part of the brand, I guess, of course, I'm going to reuse the orange on social media as well, right? Silly example, but I think you see the point.
I think you're speaking a lot to, as you just said, the branding and also a style guide. Mm-hmm. So while we were talking a bit about the style guide earlier, and when we're creating your high fidelity mock-ups, we're really going to have to pay close attention to that style guide and make sure that that's consistent and that it correlates with the branding. So these are things that you can reuse on these other platforms because it's super important to maintain that consistency in order to maintain that trust with the people that are coming to you. So you can definitely reuse those.
And I guess beyond the style guide, right? Like, so from the brand, of course, is much, much more than just visuals. So I think that's more where the communication part comes in, right? What are the values? How do we communicate? Who is our customer? What's our brand's persona, right? Like I actually talked to someone in cohort 2, I think, who has an interesting project, and it could be so many different ways of communicating that, right? Like, are we a funny brand? Are we a serious brand? Are we relatable? Are we like, who are we as CoStarting, right? I think that's gonna be. I'm super interested to see how you kind of come up with proposals for that as we understand our customers, right? Which is of course hand in hand, because if our customers are 55-year-old CEO males, that's a completely different voice we kind of want to develop in our communication and in our brand than if it's millennials, right? Or what have you.
Completely. And our personas will help with that as well.
Yeah.
But when we go through the deliverables, I think a lot will become more clear.
Okay.
But also, this is probably a good time to add, talking to my mentor last week. Marouane and I both have, our personal mentors that we're working with each week. And my mentor is a consultant. He's a great guy. I absolutely love him. He's a consultant and has his own consulting business. He's been a designer for multiple years. And with this consulting, he designs on consulting and in a very holistic way. So he offered to give you a free 30-minute talk to talk about kind of these deeper things with CoStarting as well, because a lot of it kind of also sounds like you're talking a bit, maybe delving into marketing, and that really isn't our realm, marketing. But there's a lot of things that still need to be established in a certain way and really owned in, because you have all these great visions and values, but it does sound like a lot of it needs to be distilled in a certain way. So he can likely help you with that. And we can all, the four of us, jump on a call for 30 minutes if you're open for that.
Absolutely. That'd be amazing.
Okay, great. He's in England. His name is Rafael. He's amazing. He's really he's really great. But I will let him know that you said yes. So I'm going to let him know this Friday, and we'll get a list of potential times. He's going to probably be a little bit like, we're probably going to have to go with his times. But okay.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, I agree, right? So I think, like I said to you guys in the beginning, there is 1,000 things which need to be done in every single domain for CoStarting, right? And the crazy thing about design and marketing, they're so close together, right? And I think what's interesting or what's important, which I learn a ton about this, every single day, and I'm looking forward to learning even much more from you guys through this process. But really understanding that those things go so hand in hand, and you can almost, like you just said, right? Like I didn't think about it as marketing, but yeah, a lot of these things are almost a precursor to marketing at the very least, right? And marketing and design just needs to be talking pretty much every day, I think, if they're different departments. So we'll see. Yeah, you guys are gonna make or break the marketing. No pressure.
No pressure at all. Marouane, what do you think from here? Should I take us into the deliverables? Uh-oh, no, you're muted.
I'm muted. I muted myself. Yeah. Let's tell you.
I'll take us into the deliverables, and then do you want to cover the timelines after that? Okay, cool. Okay, so then this is broken into 3 parts. It's also a bit color-coded. So here's a little bit of a key here. So we're breaking it down into research and synthesis, our design recommendations, and then some testing as well. The biggest part really is going to be these design recommendations as well. So we have some good news for you that I'm sure you'll like. Of course, let us know if this doesn't work for you. But after looking through, and this is the big change really that we made over this weekend, looking through what we wanted to do for you, it is quite a lot of work here. So we actually would like to do this over 5 weeks, if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So this is week 1. And so this would bring, basically our last day would be June 3rd. which is a Thursday. So, okay, great. So these deliverables will span over 100 hours and will span over 5 weeks.
Fantastic.
Well, I told you you would be, you would be happy.
Yeah, hey. You will probably never find an entrepreneur who says no to more free resources.
We figured that. We were on that. We knew that. So. Okay, so let's go through these deliverables here. So first, the first section here in this green, this is going to be all of our research. So first, what we'd like to do starting the next few days is we would like to analyze this feedback that you've spoken about. So obviously, we're not able to start this until you provide this feedback. So as soon as you can, please send this over to us. Via email would be great.
So there's one thing actually I wanted to touch on. First, yeah, I was gonna say, I started on that list of the things I need to provide to you. I did send you guys a Slack invite. I haven't seen you join yet. Did you get those?
We must have missed that, but we'll look at this after this meeting. We'll look at the Slack invite.
Okay. So obviously I sent them to your individual emails, not to the joint one, right? Because you can't join with a joint email. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
I also, well, no, that should work. I'm assuming you used like a group, a Google group probably for the joint email, or how did you do that?
We created our own Google account together.
Oh, it's just a shared account. Okay, that works too. Okay, that works, because then I was gonna suggest to share, actually, as I think I did that already. I don't know if I shared it with you guys, but I did share it with the folks from Springboard, a shared Google Drive. So we can ping those documents back and forth, and we just leave them in there, so we don't actually have to search for the link. We just have one link to the Google Drive. I will send that again, and then I would also put like documents like the feedback forms. I will put them in there, and then I'll just, once you're on Slack, I think the easiest communication is that I'll just ping you guys there. It's like, hey, I put the feedback form in there. Here's a link to it, right? Or the link, of course, is going to be in the project folder, because I'm fine with email. And if you prefer email, we can do that. But a lot gets lost in email, especially if it's just a quick question sometimes. And again, I also offer to you, of course, that if you're in Slack and while you're working, don't feel shy to just ask me, right? Like anything. No question is too small, I think. Just shoot it to me in Slack. I'll answer it as soon as I can. You're muted.
I'm good with the Google Drive, sharing that. Are you good with that, Marouane?
You're all, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
And we can share all the assets that way, the feedback, and we can also share we'll be sharing these deliverables with you,
right?
Obviously, and for feedback before our meeting, so we can share them through that as well.
Perfect.
Okay. And responding through Slack is also great. I use Slack, so we both use Slack. So I need to grab my charger, so just 1 second here. Okay, so do you know when you're going to have that feedback ready, Sven?
Yeah, I'll do all of the outstanding assets to you guys right after the call, I think.
Okay.
I started with the feedback forms. You're going to get at least half of that, I think. I am not sure where the other half ended up, because I had 2 Google Forms and somehow something got messed up. But I'll sort that out.
And there is certain assets that are needed before others, so don't feel like you have to do it all at once. When we get to that, talk about that a bit more, such as the style guide, that can wait a little bit. The branding could wait a little bit, that's the feedback right now is the most critical component.
Okay.
So once we get that feedback, just to break down these 3 sections here, we have our deliverables on the left, just a bit more of a description of them, what tasks will be involved to complete that deliverable, and then our estimated hours here on the right. And this is our collective hours here on the right.
Okay.
So with the feedback, we're going to get that feedback from you. We're going to analyze that, and we're going to synthesize it into the most critical themes that we're getting, the most critical pain points. The purpose here is to really understand your customer's experience as they're going through. We want to really dive deep. We want to really be the voice of them to understand what they're going through. So we're going to dive deep into that and get the most critical pain points, get the most critical experiences from those feedback.
So one thing I wanted to mention on that is just keep in mind that from cohort 1 to cohort 3 now, there has been changes, right? There is a progression. So you kind of need to, I'll anonymize the feedback, of course, but I'll leave in which cohort it was. So you kind of know that kind of metadata, because that's important. And then also, at least from my side, I want to offer that feel free to try to reach out to these members in the Slack community. They joined the CoStarting community with the intention of helping as well. I think all of them so far. And at the very least, what we can do is ask, right? And I'm happy to also just introduce you guys once you join Slack in the general channel, and just say, like, hey, Liz and Marouane might be reaching out to you guys. It would be great if you kind of find 15 minutes with them to just do a little user kind of research session with them or something like that. But I imagine a lot of them would. I also have video, like testimonials from a few of them. I'll send you those as well. One of them is on the website right now. Not all of them are, because I have not signed up to the paid product for that yet.
Yes, please send us those testimonials. So regarding the difference between the cohorts, that's, the way it goes. There's iterations, and there's going to be different feedback on each of those iterations. So as designers, we both definitely get the difference in feedback after these iterations. So that's totally normal. But that's very helpful to know which cohort they're in as well. And also you're transitioning right to this next point here. Well, actually this third row here, but we would like to conduct some user interviews. So ideally, the sweet number to interview is 5 people. We would be happy if we got 3 people as well, but it sounds like you're participating.
I'll get you 5. I'll get you 5. We have 15 which went through the cohort. We'll find 5.
Okay. So if you give us a list, we can send out some emails to these folks. Otherwise, if you have certain people in mind, we can interview those. Either way, do that.
Well, so we have 15 participants already, of course, and they're all in Slack, right? So I think we should respect their kind of willingness to be in that community through that, and just talk to them there. What we can also do is start a separate channel for the design project and pull them into that. So then we just schedule, interviews with them there. But is that the primary intention, or also potential anyone else, like other potential members or potential participants of CoStarting, or who else do you want to review? Because I can of course try to put some work into finding others. For example, currently we're working on a cohort / peer group for Italy, and we just talked to 4 of the members, but 2 of them are already in the community who are going to participate in that. And I asked them actually very similar questions on that call, right? So like, what's exciting you about this? Those answers would have been great for you guys. So we don't record those initial calls, right? Because we don't know if their willingness to join the community yet, of course. But those we could, for example, ask, right? I'm sure they would be interested in kind of spending a couple minutes with you guys as well.
So with the scope of this project, we definitely want to interview existing customers of yours, because that'll give us a lot of insight of where there's more pain points throughout their journey. That's because they've gone through the cohort. So they're going to give us a lot of insight on what we can improve in the experience. It's also going to be guiding one of the future deliverables here, which we'll speak more in detail in a little bit, but these user journey maps, which is also highlighted a bit, that's going to be a key asset for you because that's going to give you a lot of information to really map out, and in a visual way, map out what the experience is for your customers. So that's going to come from them actually going through the process. And that's going to reveal gaps. That's going to reveal all these different ways that we can improve and all these different things we can add. So this is going to be a great asset for you beyond our work too. You can keep using this, as with a lot of what we'll be working with you for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So we can definitely send a message through the Slack community. We can start that way and we can see how many people respond. We can just say, give a brief introduction to what the interviews will be. They'll be between 30 minutes and an hour.
Good.
And so we can write a message and we can send that through Slack, see how many people respond, and kind of take it from there. Say, 3 people respond, maybe we'll send another message, then try to get some more people. So we can take it that way. That way we're getting some voluntary.
Right. Yeah. Get the power users first, and then I'll help, of course, if we are short on participants.
Okay, great. So we'll do that here. So I'm just gonna write this down. Awesome. Okay, so the last bit of research here, this second row of green here, is the partially joining the cohort. We are in that right now. So doing this, building in public, and going through like a mini taste of what a cohort would be. So we're including that, just 5 hours, including that in here. So this is our research aspects here. And then once we get all this information about the user base, we're going to move more into these design deliverables. So first we have the personas here. We've already talked about the personas a bit. We're going to create a couple or a few personas based on the information that we get from research. And this is going to be really, I keep using the word pain points here, but this is going to be really critical to understand the pain points of the personas here and the pain points of your customer base. And this is really essential to guide the changes that we're going to make to create a better experience for everybody. So we're going to do these personas here. And then again, back to the user journey maps. Have you ever, as a software developer, have you seen a user journey map before?
Yeah, not in the traditional sense, probably. I guess, depends on how you approach it, right? Like from a UX perspective, I guess, roughly. And then we break them down usually pretty quickly into kind of flow charts, right? On the individual steps, right? So, but like high level, yeah, you could think through the user journey of, like in our previous company, what's the driver's user journey, or let's say Uber, right? Like what's the journey for an Uber driver from, being interested in becoming a driver to being a driver. And then there's another journey, now I am a driver, what's my day to day look like, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's breaking down all those individual points. So to put it in a bit more context too, with CoStarting, it could start with somebody wants to start a new business. That could be the first thing. It's really like building a lot of empathy for where they're at to understand more of where their mindset is going to be at too. They want to start a new business, then they're searching to look for some support groups. It's going to be all those individual points. So that's going to be based on these interviews that we do as well and the feedback. So we'll be asking these sort of questions. That's going to help us design these personas and user journey maps while we're researching. And you're familiar with personas as well? We've been talking about them, so.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So are you clear on the personas and the user journey maps? Any other thoughts on that?
Nope, okay. Sounds good.
Great. So then moving on, we're going to get into some changes. So this is what we've just talked about, is a lot about the first problem statement. Just to go back up a little bit, that's who are the customers and what creates a successful experience. So that problem statement we're really looking at with these first ones especially. And then when we get into sketching here, we're going to get into sketching in order to create these high fidelity mockups for you. And these high fidelity mockups are going to be for the website, for the front end of the website here. So I'll be sketching to guide our high fidelity mockups. And again, this is going to be based on everything we've been building before. So it's going to be based on those personas and the user journey maps of where there's been some problem and pain point areas that we can iterate on. And this is also going to be where we're getting more into your branding a bit, and also your style guide. So if you have those components too, I know obviously using this orange color, you have your logo designs. So all of those things we would definitely like to have included in the style guide, and the branding as well. And as you spoke about before, branding is pretty holistic. So it's also going to include those values. It's going to include your mission statement. It's going to include your personality too, which is like a little bit different than the values. So those are all aspects as well to the branding. And then of course, color. Color is a very emotional aspect that's going to influence a lot. Even once we're getting into UI, even just like the roundness that we're using on buttons, like it's all a part of the style and the brand to create a clear, cohesive message. So that's all going to be with the high fidelities. And then we definitely want to test these a bit. So we are going to be doing some unmoderated testing. Are you familiar with unmoderated testing?
Yeah, basically just throw it out there, right?
Exactly. Just throw it out there. We'll be using one of the unmoderated testing platforms online. There's a bunch of them, about at least 10. So we'll be using one of those sites and testing it unmoderated and going through that, reviewing that, synthesizing the findings, finding out what the critical aspects we can change. Then we're going to iterate based on what we find in that unmoderated testing. And then sadly, Sven, we're going to create our final presentation for you just to review all the work we've done throughout these 5 weeks, and we'll present that to you at the end. So
awesome.
Yeah, do you have any questions about these deliverables? We've been talking throughout, but
no, I think it makes sense from what we talked so far. I am honestly, I think what I'm most excited about is kind of seeing that user research come through the mockups, right? Especially in that communication, the voice, the brand building, right? Like what you guys are finding, like then actually putting that in action, right? Because I think right now, if I would have to judge myself on what the website or the public presence is, it's pretty stale, right? It's very transactional. It's kind of like, all right, here we are. This is CoStarting. You can do this with it. Oh, you can also do this with it, right? But it has no personality, right? I think. And I think that's what I'm super, super excited about. If we can get to the point where, like we have that and we test it and we see how people react to that, that's going to be a big game changer, right? And that will reflect through, of course, through me and everyone else who is working with our teams. That will have to come through everywhere, right? And that kind of gives us these guiding principles on who we are, how we should act and present ourselves, right? So right now it's again, of course, because this is an early startup as well, it's kind of all over the place. And I guess the only personality you see on social media is probably my personality coming through through whatever I write, which is fine. But yeah, I think getting more cohesiveness, getting tighter around that, right? Like we talked in the beginning, that's what I'm most excited about.
And Sven, you have a lot of passion in your personality, and you really are the heart of CoStarting. So we can translate this passion.
Yeah, I'm good with that. No big ego at all.
Okay, awesome. Marouane, you want to take it away?
Yes. All right. So,
or do you want to say anything about the deliverables too?
I think you covered pretty much it. Do you have any questions, Ben?
Nope.
Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, on the screen here is milestone. So on the left side, I think there's a little bit of feedback. Okay, that's better. So yeah, on the left side is the date that we're gonna submit. What we're gonna email you. Basically, the agenda is gonna be part of the agenda. Is the deliverables. So, for example, Wednesday, May 5th, we're going to be sending you research synthesis from the feedback. So everything that we're gonna go through, they're gonna send us today that we asked for. We're gonna go through it, and then by Wednesday, we will be sending you, the agenda and what we come up with, for you to review, and then we'll all, of course, go over it. So we'll be sending it through email, of course, and then we're gonna discuss it on Thursday, May 7th at 3 p.m. And then Friday, May 7th, we will be doing the research synthesis from customer interviews, and then we will also be emailing that to you 24 hours before our meeting on Monday, which is May 10th, and then Wednesday of May 12th, we're gonna have our personas and user journey maps ready. We will also send that to you for review on our meeting on Thursday, May 13th. Friday, May 21st, we're going to be we'll have the high fidelity prototype, which honestly I'm really excited about. And we'll we'll go through that and discuss it with you on Monday, May 24th, and then Wednesday, May 28th, we're gonna do some usability testing, and we're gonna synthesize that, and we will send it to you to talk about on Monday of May 31st, and then Friday, May 20. Wait, did I say that? Yeah, 28th. Is that a typo? We have two May 28th.
Yeah, one of them can't be right.
Yeah.
Glitch in the matrix.
I think so. If we have Monday 31st. Anyways, I think that might be the same. Okay. Third. So iteration is definitely going to be after. So we're going to take definitely a couple of days. Or is it the same time?
You muted, Liz. Sorry, you were muted. I just unmuted you.
Oh. It's okay. I wasn't saying anything too grand here. Okay, sorry about that. They were both a day off here. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
more sense.
Okay. So, shoot, May 30th. That is gonna be my birthday, and we will be providing iterations of high fidelity.
And cake.
And cake. Some virtual cake. I like that. and then we'll discuss it on May. We'll discuss it that Monday, the following week, and then Wednesday, June 2nd, we will have our presentation ready. We will send it over to you, and then we will present it to you on Thursday of June 3rd, and that will be it'll be a happy and sad day at the same time because we'll be done, but at the same time, this journey will be over. But definitely really excited to for that to come.
That's
And
awesome.
then yeah.
So is that give me an idea of the timeline for you guys with Springboard. Is that also the end of the program for you guys, or when is the project in the program, kind of like, is it in the beginning, middle? Well, not in the beginning, probably.
This project is the end. So after this
Okay.
project, we're basically putting our portfolios together, and then basically having interviews with I'm not sure if it's mentors or if it's somebody on Springboard. There'll be people that we're going to be interviewing with, just mock interviews and stuff, presenting our mock interviews, presenting our portfolio, and just finalizing everything that we've done for this program. And then after that, we graduate.
Nice. You guys excited about that?
100%, absolutely. Cannot
Awesome.
wait.
Well, that's great. I'm honored to be kind of one of the final steps. So excited about that. Curious to see what you guys are doing after that as well.
Appreciate it. Definitely the same. I'd like to actually check up on and see after we're done, check up on and keep kind of keep tabs on this website. I feel like it's gonna be our baby. Obviously, it's your baby, but we're like godfather and mother.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I mean, that's what CoStarting is all about, right? So, we check in with all of our past cohorts a month after, and then potentially on a regular basis. And if you guys are now or soon in the Slack community, right? Like, I'm not going to kick you out after this project. You kind of side channeled into it, but that's fine. That's cool. You're going to stick around. You can, hopefully you're going to be there forever. And maybe, once you get started with your careers in this space, who knows, maybe you start your own project someday and want to participate in the cohorts, or you might just be able to take some value out of the cohorts or a peer group in general, right? Like, I mean, there's probably going to be hardly anyone who will understand this better after the next 5 weeks than you guys. And hopefully we get your interpretation of it as well, right? Please be brutally honest, by the way, along this way, right? Like, I want to hear if you discover that, okay, Sven, this is all bullshit, excuse my language, no one cares, no one sees any value in this, right? Like, we have to say you should probably pivot or do something else. Hopefully it's not going to be that brutal, right? But any aspect you find which seems weird or it's bad feedback, right? Like, again, like I always say, it's every feedback is good feedback. So please don't ever sugarcoat anything. But I don't think so. Like, let's hope that's not the case. And I think as you guys go through it, you let me know if this is interesting to you, right? And if you want to stay involved in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Yep, definitely. Yeah, this is really exciting stuff. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Awesome.
And then I believe there's something after this, right, Liz? Right. These are the items. I believe we sent it to you in the email. Yeah. These are just the items we're gonna be synthesizing and working with to get everything together. What was it? You said that you added something, Liz?
Yes, so the only thing that's different from the version that you received in the email, and we can just go over this real quickly too here. So the change is this list of potential customers to interview, but since this conversation started, that has actually even changed a bit. So it's actually on our end now. So I can just get rid of this because basically, just to reiterate what we've talked about, Marouane and I are going to get on the Slack community, and we'll write that message. Is there just a general chat room? Yep. Okay, so we'll post to that general chat if that's good with you.
Yeah, let's start there. Yeah, for sure. And most of the channels are open for everyone. And then, like I said, we'll start a conversation. Once you guys are in there, I'll introduce you. Then we can start a conversation there about, what you guys are doing. Maybe just introduce yourself real quick. Here's this is the intention of this project. We're looking for people who would want to participate in customer interview, right? Everyone in there understands what that is, I think. So we should have low-hanging fruit. Of course, we need to adhere for their schedule, but hopefully we can find some rather quickly, because like your timeline is pretty tight.
Well, we have to keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll likely set up. Do you remember we sent you a Calendly link? So we'll likely set that up. It's a super easy way for people to schedule, and we can set blocks of time for ourselves, and then people can pick what time works best for them. So.
Yep, makes sense.
So hopefully people are free this week to do that before Thursday, basically. Just to go over this, briefly, so we can talk about it here in person or virtually. As we talked about a bit, we definitely need any branding material that you have. Again, that's going to be style guide. Style guide includes colors. It includes any type of illustrations. You don't really have many illustrations or any illustrations on your site, actually, but it would include your logo. That would be part of the style guide as well. And then of course, values. We talked about mission, personality, style guide twice for some reason. Really emphasizing that.
Yeah, so like I mentioned it before, right? There is certainly no formal style guide yet. I'll send you all of the elements I have, the logos, the colors. You see, like here in the background, for example, we have that kind of gray. And I'll send you everything I have played with or have used so far. And then feel free to iterate on that. Also feel free to, don't be locked in on a font, for example. Like really, I am looking to you guys also to have the power to play with this, right? Like the values and mission, the personality you can play with. I'll try to give as much guidance on the values and the mission, which I think you already got a pretty good idea from the intro call last week, right? Where I was trying to go deep into that.
I think it will help to distill it a bit too, and really have it. And you already have it written down on the website pretty clearly. But
a little bit is on the website. There is a little bit more, which literally week to week it gets a little bit better. And again, this will help me too to kind of think through this. I'll share another, a couple of separate documents for this, which we will iterate on. Please feel free to anything I share in our shared drive. Comment on it, right? Even, let's use the comment function and the suggestions function in the Google Docs extensively, right? And then we can just, keep moving asynchronously forward with this stuff and really make it better over time. So nothing's fixed. I like the logo a lot, but that was honestly just something I put together in like the first 15 minutes of this journey of this company. So
what do you feel about the color orange? Is there reasoning behind picking orange as well?
I mean, other than it's sort of a warm color, not really.
Okay.
I like it, but I'm not married to it. I also like design, like UI and colors and logos is something where we can spend a lot of time on without necessarily the biggest impact right now. I think as long as it's not like, okay, this like, terrible mint green really is like a doctor's waiting room, right? Like as long as we don't have any negative, like straight up negative emotions associated with anything we have so far, I don't think we should overthink it either.
Yeah.
But again, like any feedback is good, right?
I was definitely curious if there was any reasoning. I mean, as you know, being a software developer and an entrepreneur, different colors are going to create different emotions for people and have different preconceptions too. But like you said, if it's not causing any issues, let's not spend a lot of time on it. Also, I do want to note that my mentor was talking about, because you're still in the earlier stages of your startup, a lot of A/B testing would be very helpful for you. So that was just a suggestion he wanted me to give you. That's not something that we can do within the constraints of our project with you. But moving forward, that would be really good, and that's something that you could A/B test with is color, and see what people's effects are for those two.
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay, awesome. This is getting quite exciting here. So, what else here? Oh, it would be great to get a list of these different tools that you were speaking about during our first meeting that you're using, like Notion, where people are adding their weekly goals on there, Airtable, and then the different video softwares that you're using. We're probably not going to really find a way to integrate those into the system, but it's going to give us a better idea of just a holistic take of the whole of starting. And that's really tough at startups. I've worked with a startup before too, and at a retreat center, and we had at one point, maybe about 6 different systems we were using, and none of them integrated, and it was just a whole big.
Yeah, it's not so bad anymore. A lot of these tools, like how I only use them if they work together right now, because otherwise I am a software engineer. If I need to, if it's too much friction, I'd rather build it myself. But the beauty of these no-code tools today is that they do integrate fairly well, right? So I mentioned why I use Card for the website is, well, first because it's super easy. It's about the fastest website builder I know right now for somewhat straightforward websites, right? But it can do more than just a single page. That's already great. And then it automatically integrates with Stripe and Airtable for my onboarding, right? So I have the entire customer onboarding flow right now on through that, basically. And then, Notion is separate, but that doesn't need to integrate right now.
Okay.
And then, since we're not getting into, okay, what does the future of the platform look like with this project yet, then that's less important, I think.
Yes, definitely need to focus on that foundation. But whatever we're working on now will be a springboard, to use springboard, will be a springboard for your future projects and to create this more peer and cohort platform where people can go on to, which is a great idea. I love that. Okay, so the cohort feedback, we talked about that a bit. So just get that as soon as you can, because that's when we can start analyzing that. But in the meantime, we're also going to jump on Slack and post that call for interviewing your fellows over there. And okay, so add us to Slack. This is done, so I'm just going to cross this out as well. Okay, and then we would like to look at card.co. That is not a huge priority right now. We just need to do it before starting the high fidelity, but sooner the better also, so we can start getting familiar. And then we talked a bit about KPIs in our first meeting. With the scope of the project, we're not going to be able to dive too deep into it, but it would be good to get any metrics that you already have going, and just to kind of, for your own benefit beyond this, kind of get on a regular rhythm with that to understand where your metrics are, your baselines, and that's going to show how you're improving over time with these design iterations.
Yep, agreed.
So that's the show.
Perfect. Right on the hour.
Oh, great.
All right, great. Yeah, so I think I know what to do. I need to get you guys all of this material. And then you check if you got the invite from Slack. If not, just let me know. And we'll get you guys going there. And I'll get you as much of this list today and then over the next couple of days. But I'm super excited to get this going.
Awesome. Marouane, do you have anything else to add to with the timeline or anything like that?
No, I think we covered it all. Just if you don't, I mean, depending on, I know we're supposed to give you like a synthesis by this Wednesday, or yeah, by this Wednesday. But if there's a bit of extra stuff that you can't get to us by then we'll have to work out if it's important and how can we use it, and then we might have to navigate around that. But yeah, the more you can give us between now and then, the
Yeah,
better.
like I said, I'll do all of that right now. Maybe that is a good point, though. If you want to add to your deliverables timeline a prerequisite and a date for that prerequisite from me, like a dependency, right? Like if anything might be blocking, like if you don't get the customer interviews today, then you're not going to be able to finish your deadline by Wednesday. That stuff that makes total sense, right? And then I can again, I'll try to get you guys everything before those deadlines even, but just so I know if I forget ever anything, then I can go back in there and see if there's anything you need before the next check-in or something, you know?
Definitely. We can definitely add the prereqs and the dates. And I think you're also just like getting to a very important aspect too, Marouane, that there's sometimes we're going to need a little extra gap. So we might have to be a little flexible with some things because we also want to leave room open for your feedback, Sven. So if there's something that, and you spoke before about being honest, that we're going to be honest with you, please be honest with us as well. That's going to be a reciprocal, honest, clear communication with everybody. Transparency is super important. So give us feedback if you're not liking what we're delivering, and we will definitely iterate on those. So that
of course
into the timeline. So we'll have to be kind of flexible and move with it if we're going to be doing that. But please be open and let us know if you're not liking what we're giving, and we can edit those.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another good point, right? In the spirit of all feedback is good feedback. None of this ever is meant personal, and I will also never receive anything personal, right? Like this is entirely professional. So, however, if you ever feel like something is, this just feels personal, just bring that up too, right? Like, so like this is very important to me, even though this is kind of a temporary project. The culture is probably the number one priority in any startup. So if there is anything where I will never stop learning, it's probably that. And, I am a loud North German. I'm extremely direct, and that sometimes comes across a bit harsh, even though I might not mean it that way. So let me know, if you think I'm out of line. I usually probably didn't mean it, but I'll try to be nice.
And I'm the too nice Californian, so I'm going to try to meet you halfway and be a little rough.
It'll even out.
I'm in the middle. I'm neutral.
All right, great. Well, fantastic. This is a good first session. Thank you so much, guys. And like I said, I'll get you guys all this stuff for the next step, and then I will see you on Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah, great meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.